Hello, Debra.
Hi, Lilu. How are you?
Very good, and it's good to have you. You're the author of Extraordinary Psychic, and you are psychic, amongst other books that I don't have here. But you're an author, and you're a clairvoyant, and you have founded the International School of Clairvoyance.
Yeah,
It's really great to have you and to discuss clairvoyance. So, first of all, can you tell us how do you define clairvoyance? What is it exactly?
sure. Well, clairvoyance is one of our many psychic abilities. It's the ability to see information in the form of visions, images, and pictures. And it's an ability that everybody has, but most people don't realize that they have this.
So
And
how
so
did
that's
you realize that? Because you've realized that at a quite late age. I mean, at 27 years old, from what I read. So how did this come about? So we can learn also how to do this stuff.
Sure. Well, I had always been in touch with my abilities. I had a twin sister named Amy, and when we were very young, as soon as we were able to talk, we were discovering that before I was about to say something, she would say the exact same thing, or vice versa, or one of us would know what the other was doing when we were apart. We would feel each other's emotions. This was sometimes helpful and sometimes very distracting. But neither of us had any idea how to control this, how to develop it at all. And for years and years, I searched for books. I've been reading metaphysical books for probably since I was about 8 years old, but I could never find anything that said that this was anything other than a natural gift. Either you had it or you didn't. Well, when I was about 27 years old, I was living in Northern California. I was actually working as a federal probation officer, and I was very, very stressed out. It was an exciting but very demanding job, and so I ended up finding a school that offered a meditation class. And while I was taking this class, I discovered that there were people all around me who had these amazing psychic abilities. And as it turned out, the school actually taught people how to be psychic and specifically how to be clairvoyant. And what I found was that just in the very first week of doing these very simple exercises, I was actually able to start picking up information that was very valid through the visual. And that was 15 years ago. So now I myself teach people all over the world how to, not just even how to get in touch with their abilities, but how to develop them to the point where it's almost like they become a whole new person, and where they're able to go out and help many other people.
So do we? I mean, do we kind of have to intentionally want that, or does it just happen to
Oh,
one
well,
person?
when it comes to our psychic abilities and developing them, it's just like any other ability. If you want to, if you're going to learn how to play piano, first you have to have a strong desire, because it does take commitment, patience, a lot of practice. And when it comes to your psychic abilities, there's a lot involved. We have a lot of fears to get over. We have a lot of ideas in our heads that tell us either this is wrong, this is scary, this is something that we cannot do. We have our whole analytical minds constantly wanting to get in the way of us receiving the psychic information. So there's a whole layer of challenges that come with it on top of what you would normally have with learning any skill. That's really the only difference. You have to want to be able to do it, and then it's not that hard. The thing is, you have to get over the idea, well, if I've never had a vision before, or a clairvoyant flash, then how could I possibly do this when I'm 30 or 50 or 70? The thing is, though, that our clairvoyance works through the vehicle of our imagination. So if you have ever used your imagination for anything, if you've ever visualized something that you wanted, or something that you were going to do, or a person that you loved or didn't love, then you have this ability. Because really, the difference between visualization and clairvoyance is, in visualization, you intend that you're going to imagine something, or you say, oh, I'm going to call my friend, and then you think of, like, well, what does my friend look like? Well, with clairvoyance, it's where the information comes in that you didn't already know. So I might first use visualization to think of my friend, and let's say my friend has brown hair and I know what she looks like. I've seen her every day. But then in my visualization, suddenly I see that she's crying. Or I might see that she's like scrubbing her floor really hard and cleaning up her house. And I'll be like, oh, well, why am I seeing this? Why is she crying? She looked really happy when I saw her last time. So that's the way that the information is coming to me. And then I may find out later, oh, she just got some really bad news. So if you can visualize, then you actually do have the ability to be clairvoyant. Mm-hmm. Some people have a harder time than others because some people are so analytical that it's almost like their logical mind is questioning before the information can even come in, or the information comes in so subtly that their logical mind just pushes away and says, no, that this cannot be. When I talk about visualization, people a lot of times think that I'm saying that every image that comes in is going to be like a movie, like it's going to be so clear, it's like a picture that just stays there. And that's not the case. Quite often with our clairvoyance, we might just get such a quick flash. It may barely be a picture. It may almost be like a little cartoon image or something where it's like, did I really see that? I'm not too sure. But after a while, you realize that these subtle images are important. So it's really important for people listening to this to realize that they shouldn't have expectations about how the information will come in, but to start paying attention to, even as you're walking around in your life, whether you get a flash of something visually or your other abilities kick in. So many of our thoughts, I truly believe that about 90% of our thoughts actually come from other places outside of us or are connected to other things going on. So if I think of a friend for no reason, then not connected to anything I'm doing right now or needing, it's because that friend is thinking of me, or there's some connection there. The same thing with just our creative ideas. So many of our creative ideas are coming from other sources outside ourselves.
Debra, it's quite cool to be talking to you, because as I'm having my questions that pop, you just answer them. So it's great, you know. I just don't need to do.
I know, it's terrible.
You're receiving them and then you're replying. That is so fantastic. I love it.
That's what happens with my students. I work with a lot of them over the phone. This really happens over the phone or in person, but it'll be the same thing where they're either they start doing what I'm about to tell them to do, or I'm answering their questions before they've asked. And this is a great example of telepathic communication. It's not always so great with an interview where I'm
no, it's fantastic. As long as the information is given to us, that's what this is all about. But I was interested to know, so where is this really coming from? Where are you picking this from? What allows this?
Well,
you're receiving that. What is the foundation of that?
Well, there are so many different sources of communication that it's no different than, let's say you walk into Grand Central Station and you sit down and you're getting information from everywhere. Maybe you're reading a newspaper, so you're getting information from that. Over the loudspeaker, somebody is telling you what time your vehicle is departing. Another source, you're hearing people sitting next to you chattering. Someone comes over and asks you a question. So there's all these different sources. Some of the sources are directed at you. People are speaking to you directly, while some of the other ones, you're just hearing all this chatter around you. And then you're seeing signs plastered all around too. So in the same way, this is how our psychic abilities work. We get the information from other people, mind to mind, and that would be called telepathy. And it may be very directed. We do get information, I believe, very strongly from other spirits, from entities, from beings that are not in physical bodies. We get information on an emotional level from other people, where it's not through our thoughts, but we're feeling their emotions. There are different parts of ourselves that communicate to ourselves, and then there's a lot of times you won't even know where the information is coming from. With spirits, sometimes they're very direct. There's a guide, there's perhaps a deceased loved one that is trying to communicate. But many times it seems as if there's whole collectives of beings that are out there giving us information. And I believe it's coming from so many different sources.
So because some people are sensitive to others, and like just being in their presence, we sense things. So you're saying that by actually studying this a little bit more and working on it, then we can start mastering it and using it as a tool, versus it's something that could make us crazy sometimes, and we just don't know where this is coming from, and it's quite unstabilizing.
Oh, absolutely. I really believe that a lot of what is considered mental illness is actually related to psychic problems. Now, that's absolutely not to say that there isn't other medical reasons. And yes, it's a whole combination of things. But I've had several occasions when I was doing a reading on somebody, and they were clearly having problems in their life, and they had so much chattering around them. And sometimes the chattering was coming from beings that were just really trying to give them a hard time, and that were telling them just disturbing things to do, or it was just way too much noise in their head. And I would get the sense that these people had been diagnosed with mental problems as well, schizophrenia, other things, multiple personality disorder. And when I would ask them, has anyone ever given you this diagnosis? They would say, yes, actually, I have. So there is definitely a there's definitely a connection between mental disorders and psychic abilities. And so what do you do? And I'm not saying here by any means that you're going to go crazy because you're developing your abilities. No, developing your abilities is actually what helps you to start to be able to sort out all the noise and to control the levels. For some people, they need to learn how to turn it down. They need to learn how to separate it. It's just like if you always had music blaring in your ears or people chattering all the time, that would be really annoying. But maybe and not all communication is equal. There's a lot of things people say, a lot of information we don't want, and then there's also information that is really, really helpful to us. So that's the purpose of getting training.
So there's a way to disconnect also, or to cut those cords, or to cut that information flowing to us?
Oh, yes. There's definite techniques that can help you turn it down. And there's a lot of things that you can do to protect yourself as well if you're feeling that there is, whether it's other beings out there, other people out there that are giving you a hard time. There's definitely visualization techniques you can do on an energetic level to protect yourself. At the same time, it's very interesting because I get a lot of people who will write to me and say, like, well, how do I defend myself, like from psychic vampires or from, people that are trying to do me harm? And I always have to ask first, well, what is going on in your physical environment? Because many times people are, when they're living with other people that are being abusive to them, that are being obnoxious, they're living in environments that are not healthy, they're doing drugs, drinking too much. And so really it's very important to have a very healthy physical environment. And if you're having problems on a psychic level, oftentimes it's because you're not setting boundaries on a physical level with telling people, hey, I'm not gonna take this. I demand to be treated with respect. And as I talk about, I have a third book called Freeing the Genie Within. And in that book, it's not so much about psychic abilities, but it's about how to create more of the life that you would really like to have. And I have whole chapters in there about workplace, about standing up for yourself, about really not sacrificing yourself for the paycheck or because you're so desperate to get a particular opportunity, needing to set boundaries. And so if you can set physical boundaries, then you can set energetic boundaries. So we work with both of these things in the different classes.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Tell us about the aura and how that kind of change the color of the aura. You can see an aura's, a person's auras, and you're saying that this color changes. It's not
Yes.
always the same. What is it dependent on?
Oh, on everything. And I want to say for myself, occasionally I'll see a person's aura with my physical eyes, but most of the time it's on a clairvoyant level. So it's when I visualize them, I'll see the different colors around them. And this is also what we teach. And the different colors, it seems as if everything starts off with energy and then it moves. So everything that's physical has an energetic component to it. And the energetic component will show up as color, just like the physical, everything has a color to most people unless they're colorblind. So it's the same thing when you're to a clairvoyant, when you look at a person or anything else, you see colors. So the nice thing about that is, like, let's say I'm looking at you right now, and above to the left side, I see a red with a little white in it. Okay, well, just looking at it, I don't know yet what that means, but if I focus on it and I just say, okay, I'm just going to focus, I'm going to clear my mind, and I'm going to say to that reddish color, what do you mean? Show me something. And then maybe I'll get an image. I'll see a pair of hands with a ring on it, and it's like, oh, I just saw hands with a ring on it. What does that mean? And then maybe I'll see next, like a person, maybe a man, handing over the ring or taking back the ring, and then, oh, well, this has something to do with a relationship. So why did something having to do with a relationship first show up in your aura? Well, there's many reasons for that. Well, maybe it showed up around your head because you were thinking about this person. Maybe this person, whenever we have a relationship with someone, an energy connection forms. The two of us talking right now, even though you're in Chicago, I'm in Los Angeles, we're how many hundreds and hundreds of miles away is that? But we're able to talk on the computer like this here. So there's actually, we know for sure, even if you don't believe in any of the psychic stuff, we know that there is something's connecting us, right? Some kind of energetic force. People who developed this technology have a logical explanation for us talking here. Well, in the same way, even if we didn't have this technology here, we would still be connecting energetically. Now, the reason I know that is because I could actually visualize something on you. Like, let's say I had a sense that let's say I look at your throat and I see some blue colors in your throat. And this blue tells me, well, this may be just some leftovers from somebody who was nervous that you were talking to before me. And this nervous energy, if it like stayed in there, it either could have the impact of making you feel nervous or giving you a sore throat. I'm just giving examples here. If I wanted to help you, I could simply, now that I've seen that color of blue, and I'm trusting that I'm not just going nuts here, that I'm, getting that sense, I'm going to visualize that blue moving out of your throat, and I could just simply visualize it moving. I might even take my hand and just go like this to just someone walking into my room. I'm going to look like I'm pantomiming or just like nutty. But the amazing thing is, even if we didn't have the camera here, so you couldn't see me, and I wasn't even telling you what I was going to do, you may suddenly feel that and say, oh my gosh, something's going on in my throat. It feels like something is like being pulled out. And this is what happens all the time. So this is why I can say personally with certainty that if I visualize something on you, there is something's happening, because you actually are going to feel it. Now, will you feel it every time? No, it depends how sensitive.
Let's do it now. Let's check this out. Let's see if I can feel this.
Well,
can you?
Okay, well, I could just simply, okay, so as you say that, a better example for you right now, and let me tell you, just so people know, that usually when I'm doing this work, I'll have my eyes closed, I'll have meditated for a while. So I don't just usually just go and do this with anyone I'm just talking to, but for the sake of what we're doing here, my attention goes to your heart center. So that's where I have a sense that there's more going on for you personally, Lilu, right now. So then I may say to myself, okay, well, let me first see this in colors. Like what's going on in there? Well, I get a sense of red at the top and then a little white, and then there's almost like some black color coming up through the middle. And this is more your energy center. I'm not talking about the heart itself. If I was going to be actually doing a reading to medically diagnose you, which some people call medical intuition, I could do that too. I could go into your actual heart and see if there's a problem. But right now we're dealing with the energy structure. So there's some dark energy there. I also see it as a blue color. Now, what is this related to? You know, I'm just going to right now not get into that so much, but just what I would do if I think that dark color there isn't so helpful, is I'm going to say, okay, what color would be helpful to move that dark color out that maybe is causing you some, maybe whether it's some heartache, or just maybe the sense I get is that it may make you feel like sometimes something isn't possible, like that maybe the relationship that you would really like isn't possible, or that there's something there that you're hoping for, but that you're not really sure is ever going to be obtainable for you. And as I'm talking, what I'm getting the sense is that it's underneath. So you're an extremely positive person. You know that you can use the power of your intentions to manifest for yourself. You've been studying this stuff for a long time, but there's still just kind of this like little underline, like not so sure if this thing that you really want attached to your heart is ever really going to happen. So, okay, so I'm seeing this dark blue color that's represented by that. So now I ask, what color would really help replace that? And I get a beautiful golden color. So, and I see that from the left. So I'm going to just visualize that golden color coming in and just sweeping through that in your heart area and all around, and just pushing it out. Now we can just push it out to the side, or I can visualize a grounding cord which would connect you from the base of the spine into the earth, just kind of like a funnel, and then we could just funnel that out down from your heart into the cords. So these are the visualizations I'm using, and as I'm talking through here, for anyone who's just tuning in, I am actually doing a clairvoyant healing on you right now, where I'm taking the gold energy, having it replace the darker blue-black color that's coming in. And as I do this, as I turn into the black color, I just got a flash. It was of a man. I didn't even see him very clearly, but I heard the word father. So this is some issue that is related to having to do with your relationship with your father. And so I'm just continuing to help move that out. And for some reason, I just see this energy coming in from the left, filling up your heart center. So this is an example of how we do a clairvoyant healing. And how does that feel to you right now? You
pretty good, pretty open.
So yeah, so you know, not every time we do this, you're going to feel. Oh, it looks like you're. Are you still with us?
Yeah. Okay,
your image just froze on me here, but that's okay. As soon as you said I feel pretty good, your image just froze on my screen here. But so this is the thing, it's like you may feel an effect from this right now, or you may not. The thing to do is when we're working with healing or readings is to not have expectations like, oh, I'm supposed to experience it like this right now, or, you know, just because I didn't have like this overwhelming experience of, you know, breaking down in tears at the moment, or, you know, falling over in your chair, or, you know, what, there's so many different reactions people can have, and maybe it won't, you know, even do anything. Also, it's like many times when we do, what I just gave you an example here that was more of what I'd call a clairvoyant healing. I gave you some communication, but it wasn't really that detailed, because in terms of the healing part, we're not dealing with the mind. The mind is the one that wants to know exactly what's going on, what's going to happen, why did this happen, how can I deal with this, how can I fix this. These are all questions of the mind, and these are questions that will often come up during a clairvoyant reading. But during a clairvoyant healing, we want to be able to look in your field and say, where are the blocks that might keep you from feeling good about yourself, or the blocks that might keep you actually feeling physically sick or tired or things like that. And then usually when I do a clairvoyant reading on somebody, or one of my students does, it's really a combination. So what we're doing is, as we're looking at different pictures related to your life and where you've been, what's happening with you now and where you're headed, also as we talk about these things, because we're looking in the aura, doing some other techniques that are fun, we are able to help you to release while we're actually also giving you information that is appealing to your mind. Some people think all they are is their mind, and they think all I need is that one little answer. You know, I need that one answer and it's going to solve all my problems. And the problem is I just don't know. I just don't know what to do, or I don't know what's going to happen, or, you know, I don't know what job I should get. And they think if they just knew that, everything would be okay. But there's a reason they don't know that right now. So it's like, why don't you know in your life exactly what you want to do? Well, there's a whole bunch of reasons around that. And these are not just intellectual reasons. These have to do with maybe what's spiritually happening in your life. It has to do with so many different aspects of yourself. So many times people think all I need is a 5-minute answer to what to do, but maybe it's not what they're supposed to do. Maybe it's that they have not had enough training in a certain area to go and do the thing that would really make them happy. So they need to hear about, okay, you need to go to this school, or you need to take these courses first to develop yourself. Or maybe the person just has no confidence and they're not looking for the right job. When someone tells me like, oh, I've been looking all over for a job and I can't find one, well, there are so many different issues related to that. It's not just that, well, out there there's nothing for them. It's that maybe they're not looking in the right place. They're looking too beneath themselves. Maybe deep down they don't want to work for anyone else. They want to work for themselves, but they actually have no idea how to do this. So there's a lot involved. Maybe they're holding some kind of pain in their heart from their childhood, and that pain is keeping them from trusting that anybody would ever care deeply about them or would ever want to really give them the opportunity. So